What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 985 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined today by the usual duo of James Dean Rader, a.k.a. Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
And Ben Funky Askren, who always a winner with humility and class and never wanted to drive home a point or be annoying. I
won again, guys. This thing happened. I won again. It's tremendous. I won another week of FRL picks.
No, you didn't.
What?
We tied 4-2.
You were terrible this week. You were terrible.
What? JD, can you explain to this guy?
You were like 4 and 5, bro. You were not good this week.
I don't think so. JD, what's the score?
Is he cheating? JD, is he cheating on us? I'm going to look at the sheet. Christian's rigging the ballot.
I didn't fill
Where's
it in.
JD?
I'm right here. I'm double checking. You definitely did the worst this week, CP.
Yeah.
Dang it. I thought it said 4-2.
No, that was last week, dummy. I put the total season count on there. That was last week. This week you did awful.
Oh, snap. Oh, yeah, devastating. This is, you know what? Hold on. First of all, item one. I am obviously not in Austin, Texas. I am in Churchville, Virginia. I am in the children's room here. That's why it's this background. Item two, there's a reason when in the court of law, if you are emotionally distressed to a point where you are not rational, they're like, you know what? He's clear. And I was making these picks in the middle of airport misery. I was stranded. I also a little PTSD because our plane had to be diverted from Texas to Dulles, and we had to do, I'll call it an emergency landing in Memphis, Tennessee.
Someone had a heart attack or something?
No, something to do with the pressure.
Weird.
So they had to do emergency. So these picks were made in total distress. So yeah, I was looking at the wrong week. Daggone it. But you know what? You're getting it off topic already. I shouldn't have brought up your.
You started it.
I know. I'm blaming myself. Because we got to start with this Collegiate Duals. We got to start with the Cornell, Iowa State.
You're mad about this
fiasco? Are you happy about it, Ben?
I'm not happy about it. I made the walk every time. I made the walk 4 years straight, so I can't relate. Okay, well, why don't you give your opinion? Yeah, I mean, I know he put out a statement, and someone shared his email with the public, and he said injuries are unpredictable, which sure is true, no doubt about that. But the likelihood that many people were injured, in one they had 2 matches prior to that, 2 duels, which those people they all wrestled. So the likelihood that they were all hurt in those duels, I don't know. I find that to be relatively unlikely. It's possible that it's true, but maybe not all that likely. So yeah, we were really disappointed. We did not get to see a very good Cornell lineup against Iowa State.
No, and the thing, one of the items, and if you don't know, Cornell wrestled Iowa State, or some of Cornell wrestled Iowa State. Coach Mike Gray elected not wrestle several starters: Brett Unger, Vito Arujau, Meyer Shapiro, Julian Ramirez. And the Ramirez one,
I called Ramirez that morning though. I said he wasn't gonna wrestle.
People were calling that in Las Vegas. the second Julian beat Carr, they're like, well, he's not. And I didn't say it, but everyone else was like, yeah, he's not going to wrestle the duel. And at the time, I thought, well, they're going to want to win that duel, so they're going to want to wrestle Julian. Wrong. They did not want to win this duel, and you can't convince me that all 4 of those guys got injured at the duel prior.
That would be very surprising,
maybe they did.
Wouldn't it?
That would be really surprising. It would be really, really surprising to me if they all got injured. And, it's a bummer because this duel had the makings to be totally awesome and fire and really exciting. And we ended up not seeing it. And, a lot of the question and a lot of the blame is going to Coach Gray for the decision. But
well, he is the decision maker, right?
Yeah, okay, but really? Because
some of the athletes, because then I would reference
100%.
one Who was that guy? That guy was hold on, Jeff Gundy. I'm 40. I'm a man. Remember that guy?
That's Mike Gundy.
Mike. Oh, I was close. I was so close.
Jeff Van Gundy. This is because you're such an NBA fan. Jeff Van Gundy was a head coach of the New York Knickerbockers, and then was a broadcaster.
Got it.
But you talk to coaches, and they're like, "Listen, this is not." No, I didn't talk to Mike Gray about this. But, the athletes call a lot of the shots. The coaches sometimes are sitting guys, for sure. That's happening. But a lot of times, and I'm not voicing what I think is happening in this. I'm just saying broadly, athletes are calling a lot of the shots. 100%. Talk to coaches. It's they're wanting to sit. That's just the reality of college wrestling right now. A lot of the athletes are picking and choosing their spots. I'm not saying that's what happened here. I don't know what it was. The fact that it was four of the starters, makes me think it makes me think more on the coaching side than the athlete side. But we don't really know. I mean, it's just hard to believe that they were all injured. I would just rather they say, "Hey, listen, dual meets don't matter. We didn't want to wrestle these matches, and so we decided not to." But the idea that I'm supposed to believe that they all got injured an hour before, it's just hard for me to believe that's the case. And if it was about, hey, we don't want them to wrestle 3 matches in a day, there's a way you could sort of juggle that between the 2 previous duels where you're going against Little Rock and Pitt and still, be ready to go for the big one. So
yes.
I don't know what happened. When I obviously didn't know this was happening, and when they sat Vito, I was like,
can I make one point here that I think is obvious and should be made that you maybe you just alluded to, but you didn't totally make it?
Yeah.
Is that they had 3 duels that day, right? So the athletes have as many as 3 matches. Well, they didn't forfeit the matches, so they brought a bunch of backups. So there was a clear, at least a little small plan in place that these backups are going to wrestle some, because if there's no doubt, if you have no doubt they're going to bench them, send them home for Christmas, right? This is Christmas time, send them home. So they have at least a little bit of like, we may wrestle these guys because we're going to make them weigh in and bring them along on the trip. And so to your point, yes, they can wrestle some of those guys against Pitt or Little Rock and likely still come away with a win, right? I mean, I think they beat Little Rock 9 matches to 1 or something, and I think it was their just full, like their best version of their lineup. So wrestle some of those guys in that duel. The marquee matchup is the last one. If you know you guys, listen, and maybe I don't want to throw these Cornell kids under the bus because I don't know them, and I don't know this to be true. So I'm saying this is a possibility, Cornell guys. Don't get too mad at me. But you got 4 guys hurt. Maybe they're soft. Maybe it's a little bit soft, right? I didn't miss any matches in 4 years, so I know about making the walk. Maybe they're a little bit soft. So if they're a little bit soft, they get dinged up a little easy, like a banana. Like you can barely touch a banana. It's going to get bruised, right? You got a coconut or something, you can't hurt that sucker. You throw that thing out there anytime you want. So if they're soft like bananas, maybe you wrestle the second stringers that you made weigh in. You brought them along. You made them weigh in. Maybe you make them wrestle a duel or 2 in the beginning where you don't need your best guys, the whole lineup. And same for the marquee one. Yeah,
I mean I wasn't alluding to the backups part, but yeah, that is sort of what I'm alluding to. That you beat Little Rock 32-8. It would stand to reason you could throw some of those guys out there and you would still probably beat Little Rock. But what I was saying about Vito, because this is sort of unfolding, it's like, oh wait, no Unger, that's kind of weird. Oh, Greg D gets a pin, cool. And then no Vito, you kind of look at that like, well, that can kind of be explained away with, we got pinpoints at 125 that were not expected, right? So if you go 6-3 into 141 and you're actually trying to win the duel, which I didn't realize they were not trying to win the duel, but if you could say, all right, we can lose this, and Vito is trying to make an Olympic team. We don't need to expose him to extra rigor. He's already putting it on the line for the team a lot more than a reigning world champion should be expected to, or would be expected to under normal circumstances. So it's like, okay, give Vito a match off. You're in good shape to win the duel. But then Meyer and then Julian, it's like, okay, we're just not going to get the matches that we were looking for. Yeah. So, and then it sort of unfolds, and it's like, man, this is sort of strange.
And And to push back against this wouldn't even be Mike Gray. This would just be, I guess, college coaches in general, and maybe even college athletes. You need to listen to me because I coach athletes also. Now, I think there's obviously a balance, right? There could be sometimes when you wrestle and you shouldn't, and it's dumb. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fully reasonable. But on the exact same token, you need to wrestle when you're a little bit subpar, right? When your body's not 100%. Because listen, in March, how do you know what you're going to feel like? And if you've never pushed yourself to wrestle when your body's not 100%, you're not going to be able to do that, right? Everything in life that you do well likely comes through doing it with experience, right? And so the very first time you're wrestling with an injury or dealing with something, you're probably going to be way below what you're actually capable of. But if you push yourself to do it, right? I push a lot of my wrestlers to wrestle when they're sick, when they got a small injury, these type of things. Because when we get to the tournaments that matter, right? So for us, like a Fargo, you get the Fargo. Can you guarantee me you're going to be 100% healthy? Can you?
No.
The answer is no, you can't, right? And so if you want to be able to perform when you're not 100% healthy, you need to probably try to perform when you're not 100% healthy, sometimes prior to the main time you need to. And so it's like, you guys need to push yourselves. You need to push yourselves. And this is not even speaking straight to the Cornell wrestlers. This is speaking to just kind of the thought process in general. Because this is what I tell my guys. You need to learn how to battle when you're not 100%.
Yep, totally agree with that. So it was obviously the dominant topic of conversation online when this all went down. But there were a lot of other, what?
Someone in the chat said opposing fans will be bringing bananas to Cornell matches for the rest of the year.
Oh, no. We've already had the Orange Gate. Now we've got, I haven't been in the chat.
I think two things can be true about this instance where, one, maybe it can be the best thing for the athletes to not wrestle in this duel. But two, fans have the right to be angry, and it can also be said that it's not a very good look to wrestle that day, a match or two previous, and then not in the big duel that everybody was looking forward to. So I agree. I think fans can be mad, and they have that right to be mad, and I think Coach Gray can also be like, we're doing what's best for our team and our individuals, and that can also be true.
Fair.
Yeah. There's always, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure of anything. I don't know what happened.
No, I think, that's smart, JD, and well said. I agree.
It's so funny because, he's all small on my screen, and then when Tyler switches or when JD starts talking, I get this big Santa hat.
I think it's weird because on the YouTube chat, he's in a different spot than he is on our Zoom chat.
Zoom?
Yeah, it's messing up.
Inception.
That's right.
Okay, but besides that, well, how about Greg D getting the pin was pretty wild too, and Tyson. It was crazy. There were some guys who had like the worst days ever at Collegiate Duals. It's funny, like in a tournament, you would just be out, right? But in the dual format, sometimes it just keeps going downhill. And so, Kerkvliet did not have a great day, but even worse day than him was Cole Matthews went 0-3, and the number one wrestler in the country at 125 went 0-3. How crazy is that?
It's totally insane. It's like when you're having a bad day and just the duels keep coming, it can just go from bad to worse than before. It was crazy to see. I mean, Cole Matthews he just seems like not the same guy he was years previous. A lot of miles on those tires could be part of it. He also has his style's been discussed a lot, and I think the more his style's been exposed to wrestling, and I think the 3-point takedown probably doesn't help. I think it's just a little
but he got
tougher for him.
On the other side of it, and we should probably talk about the guys who did bad, but on the other side of that Cole Matthews equation too is Etchemendia, and he's wrestling really good. He even he's kind of pretty tough on top. I think he got ride time against Cole Matthews. He definitely got ride time against Etchemendia. Got ride time against Cornell. He rode him for 2 minutes plus, and Cornell is generally pretty darn good on bottom. So Echemendia is absolutely a threat at 141 pounds, big time.
I mean, he can go with absolutely everyone on his feet. I mean, he was kind of for me like kind of the story of the duels, of the collegiate duels, and we've seen him look really good. Like he looked really strong against Real Woods. He had some really good moments at Vegas, though he took some losses as well.
Yeah,
and it's, do you want to put him in that? We talked about after the Real Woods thing. Do you want to put him in that title contending strata? And I still refer back to what I said after going through a tournament's a different thing, and the mat is still going to be a factor, and 7 minutes may be a factor at times. Yeah. So I'm not ready to go there yet, but I think he can go with just about everyone.
He was right there with Locke and McNeil at the Cliff Keen. I don't recall the Happel match at this point in time. Happel's good though. I mean, Happel had a very competitive match with Jesse Mendez. He was in on a early takedown against Mendez and kind of, in my opinion, really blew it. So he had the double lock blow the butt, and he put his butt down the wrong way, where Mendez was able to get like a chest wrap and then pop his hips up. And if he would have taken his feet the other way, I think he likely would have secured the takedown. So I mean, he's right there with Jesse Mendez. So Happel's a very, very tough customer. I would say I'm not putting Echemendia tier 1, but I think he's tier 2, and he could definitely make a deep run to NCAAs.
Totally agree. Let's turn into our Cyclone correspondent, James Dean Rader, for Echemendia takes.
No, I think he's title threat. Happel was Sad Boy Hours backside of CKLV, so you can't count it.
Yeah. That's kind of like Cyclone Pinheiro Johnson. Backside Pinheiro is not nearly as effective as frontside Pinheiro. It could be the case with Echemendia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same for me. Another high level athlete when I'm having to make picks from an airport that I'm not supposed to be in. Me, Echemendia, and Pinheiro, we're all 3 elite athletes, and we don't do well when we're sad.
Hey, we're not throwing it out, but we all agree Meyer Shapiro's probably beaten Trevor Chumbley most matches. But when he hits him on the backside after taking a loss at CKLV, it's a little bit different story.
Very sad.
Yeah, sad for sure. Anyway, so you think he's a title contender? I'm kind of wait and see. I think he's high tier 2, but going against the Reals, I don't know. And just the tournament, the whole tournament's gonna be tough.
I'm putting him in threat.
But he is scary.
Threat. He's in my threat tier right now.
Threat tier.
He's a threat. Like it. So we talked about Cole. I mean, Jacob Camacho losing 3. I just
brutal
for all the memes about 125 and just how chaotic it's been. Even still, going into this tournament, even still, I would never have predicted he would go down 3 times like this. I feel like Camacho, he could drop a match, he could lose to a guy, but he just doesn't seem like a guy that would go on a skid like that. And maybe there was something going on. He didn't wrestle at Vegas, which was, sort of a little surprising. But maybe there's something to that. The reason he wasn't there, because he just did not look great.
Christian, but the pushback there is he looked good enough against Anthony Noto.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a very competitive match. Noto got the takedown. He's a good defensive wrestler. Camacho was in a lot of attacks. He was in on a takedown to win the match. Like it was really competitive. And Noto's, I think he's number 3 or something to that effect. But yeah, I think against Trevor Anderson, who he's a tough kid, but not great. He's probably like, I don't know, we'll say 25, somewhere in there, likely-ish. He just couldn't finish the shots, right? And he was in on a lot of them, couldn't finish them. And then in the last match, I think we should talk about that too. I'm kind of all over the place, but he got pinned in like 20 seconds. Like opening sequence, gets caught in a cradle and finished. And I was just, Ohio State got 3 pins in a row. It was like the first 2 pins were 45 seconds. Like, what in the world is even happening? And then they still almost lost the duel.
Yeah, it was. someone asked, like, have you ever seen like a high level duel start like that? It's like that's like some high school stuff.
I
You see
can't think of anything.
pin.
Nothing.
No, I can't recall. And these are two really good teams. I mean, NC State's ranked second. Ohio State, they won a trophy last year.
3
They've
pins in a row to start a duel, and the first two were like 45 seconds each.
The first two were upset pins.
Yes.
Major upsets. But Crone pinning Camacho's a major upset. Buzakis, Ben, I don't want to say what you texted me.
I said he wasn't good. I'll tell everyone. I watched his first match against Northern Iowa. He didn't look good. He got no offense.
Just when I think I'm out,
and gassed out.
Pulls me back in.
Not good. But then Arini, I mean, listen, Arini must not have done his homework because the one place Nick Buzakis is good is upper body, and he's just playing with fire, like just putting himself back in the fire over and over and over again. And the way he got pinned was totally high school stuff. Buzakis reached back and just ripped his freaking head off.
It was a tight headlock. Buzakis is going to be one of the tougher guys to prognosticate throughout the year because he does have that home run power. I mean, just his Vegas alone, he gets majored round one and kills everyone for third. It wasn't exactly Murderer's Row, but it was still Cliff Keenan's Vegas, for crying out loud.
But then his first match against Northern Iowa was bad.
He lost 5-1 to Julian Farber, who is tough. Farber's tough.
He's scrappy, but I don't know that he's an All-American threat yet. He's like a 25 through 30 guy.
Yes. Absolutely. But so that was a crazy way to start the duel. And then Mendez, and the weird thing about the Mendez pin is it's 6-6 with 12 seconds to go. This is one, if you're picking a line for it, this goes from, oh man, I don't even know if we did one for this.
We did one, yes.
I was emotionally distressed, as I previously mentioned.
We all actually picked Mendez to win by more than 4.5, which he was not going to do until the last couple seconds.
Exactly. So exactly my point. Mendez ends up pinning him. And so now Ohio State's up 18-0. And NC State's in a big hole. And they almost scratch and claw their way out of it. But down 18 is just that's too much to come back from. So great performance there from the first three Buckeyes. Good response. Arrington beating D'Amelio is that's a big win for Arrington.
That was one, I think I got it wrong. You and I both got it wrong. It was a pick'em. That was a close match. I know, JD, we talked about it, and we were kind of back and forth on it. I think pick'em was definitely the line, and it was a super close match. And JD was the only one to get that one right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
thank you.
It was
the only reason I said that.
The duel. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, JD.
My high intelligence insight was I think these two dudes are literally about as even as it gets, 50-50. And D'Amelio won the last one, so I'm picking Arrington to win this one.
Hey, I'm about to empathize with Ben because sometimes it's like you'll just like steamroll over us talking in the studio. But I just realized that on Zoom, if you're talking, it'll totally cut the audio. So I was just watching JD talk but couldn't hear him.
Yeah, that was weird.
So I think that's what happens on the show sometimes. You can't hear us. Come on, Zoom. That's not helpful. Okay, so Arrington, you're right about the Arrington one. Good job. It's not often a 6-4 duel. You win 6 out of 10 matches and you lose. But it's even crazier that they only lost by 1.
Yeah, so crazy. Welsh
wrestled for Ohio State.
He won.
No Hartzler. What's that?
He won in that duel.
Yes, he did win. He beat Faison 9-6. Fishback beat Rogotsky. Highly Tech Geog and Treffen Feldman. Did you watch this match, Ben?
I did not get to watch that match.
Man, my opinions on Feldman are waning a little bit, at least for this year.
They should be.
This one was crazy though because he had it to win. He got the takedown, and then he's really good if he's got you attacking. Like his down block go behinds and reattacks are really, really good. And so Treffen shoots his single, and he spins all the way behind. And he goes to the hip, and so Treffen squares up, and he dives in on a single and immediately gets sprawled on and spun behind. And it was just I think it's like kind of the picture of the problems Feldman's going to have is that he's a little small. He can give up some easier takedowns on go behinds. And I think his defense is great when you're shooting on him, but if they get to the leg, he has a little bit of a harder time, if you know what I'm saying. Like, so he can't let him get in. So Treffin gets the late takedown and ride out for the win there over Feldman, who's tough.
We
but
actually picked JD actually talked me into picking Treffin because he said I was vacillating on it, and he said that Gahaldi was smashing Feldman. That was what put me over the brink to pick him. So great job, JD. Thank you for that.
You are very welcome.
Yes.
You're the duel. Kind of Rocco Welsh. Is he going to be like Ohio State wrestled all their starters? Is something Hart's a little banged up, or?
I would have to guess, right? Because Rocco, they didn't weigh in Karchla. Waka Welsh looked pretty good. They got plenty of meets to use him in, right? They have the time. They have the five bouts they can use him in, so they probably have two left, maybe, or something to that effect.
He's wrestled in 3 events.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bennett Durham Klein gave us $2 and asked where was Swiderski. So I feel like we should at least try to answer. I think he was just out with injury.
Yeah,
probably.
They bumped Redding up. Redding all the way up to 49, and he's at 33. So he kind of took a butt kicking. Yeah, I really wanted to see Shapiro versus Chittum. You know, Shapiro wrestled Bianchi, who is an AWA guy, first round. So I was watching that one. He's so slick on his feet. He got 2 real nice first period takedowns, but he did get ridden for, I want to say it was almost a minute, and then he gets tired, right? In the third period, he wasn't nearly as effective, and Bianchi was more aggressive in the third period, but wasn't able to secure a takedown. And if he's looking at making a run, like, those are 2 issues. If you get ridden and you don't have a great gas tank, dude, it's hard to win 5 matches in a row, especially 5 hard matches. So, definitely, a guy we were talking about as an NCAA title contender, but now I'm having my doubts about him.
Hey, one thing I didn't say earlier when we were talking about Cornell sitting their guys that didn't get mentioned was Luis's Fernandez Day, who wrestled in matches 1 and 3, but did not wrestle Dayton Pitzer in match 2.
Ooh, really?
Yep.
Jeez, that's no good.
So I think I think it's a case of our guys are not 100%, but they're good enough to wrestle the lower ranked guys.
But that's the one where it's not actually an injury, because if there was something actually injured that you were actually worried about hurting, this is wrestling, and despite the fact the guy's not ranked very high, he can still do things that can hurt you. I mean, is it less likely? Sure, whatever. I'll give you that, right? But it's like, if you're actually injured and you're worried about getting re-injured, you're not going to wrestle someone and honestly, sometimes the guys who suck are more dangerous because they just do wild stuff all the time.
Yep.
For some of those guys, it's you're worried about losing when you're not 100% healthy.
Correct.
Not getting re-injured.
Correct. Yes. Hey, Pitzer Bastida, now that you brought him up, Pitzer Bastida was kind of fun. Bastida's high crotch is so smooth and he's quick to it, but I don't know, he got a little bit tired where his high crotch, the first one scored pretty easy. The second one he kind of had to grind out, and then he got in there a bunch of times after that and did not score. And then as the third period went on, Pitzer was very aggressive and attacking. And I don't want to say he didn't get very close at the very last second. He was very close. Maybe should have done that earlier, and it was probably after time was over. But just if you had a little bit of footwork and a little bit of attacks, Pitzer maybe would have been able to score a takedown there.
Yeah, he did a really good job. Pitzer's tough, but the thing with Fernandez is he sat against Pitzer, but he still wrestled Bastida, who's tougher.
Very good
right now.
But behind Bastida is above him in ranking and seed, meaning if he loses, there's no harm. Pitzer is below him, but only slightly.
Really?
Meaning
Pitzer's below Fernandez?
I actually don't know that, but potentially. But I'm saying
he shouldn't be.
No, Pitzer's got to be ranked ahead of Fernandez.
Got to be ranked higher.
He is. Pitzer's 8. Fernandez is 8-19.
I would just be interesting to hear the thought behind not wrestling.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Well, since we're kind of back on that, the fans
it pulled us back.
Yeah, the fans are like, how do you stop it? And there's literally nothing. This is going to be it. They the Big Ten of 2022 was just an absolute embarrassment with forfeits. So they tried to put in a rule that, hey, if you medical forfeit, your first one's a loss. That's a really good rule, but there is nothing you can do.
Doesn't work for duels though.
Does nothing you can do for duels. You can't tell the coach who they have to wrestle, right? You can't. That's just a different thing for a dual meet. You cannot choose their lineup, and until seeding is different in how it's weighed, and I don't know that there's necessarily a bet. There are some tweaks that could be made to the seeding process. It does reward this behavior, so it bears a second, third look.
Yeah,
losses don't matter. That's a problem, but wins do. There's some weird things that are factored in there that could be changed, but I don't think there's a variable or something you could do that changes it, right? And I don't think you could say, if you don't wrestle, because this is wrestling. On the one hand, it's wrestling and you should wrestle. On the other hand, it's wrestling and you are going to get injured, right? At some point in your career, probably. So you do need to allow for guys to, miss a dual meet every now and again without penalty. And if hypothetically, if Mike Gray sat Meyer Shapiro against Bianchi shouldn't get some credit for a win over Meyer just because he didn't wrestle that one. He was, saving up for a match later, which that's not what happened. But for that reason, it wouldn't make sense. So it's really kind of an unsolvable problem until I don't even know what the mechanism required, because it's all about incentives, right? There's not a good incentive to put on a show for the fans, right? That's if that happens, great. I'm sure it's what the coaches think, but they're not ultimately. That's not their charge or their prerogative. They're trying to get their guys through to March, and we can be frustrated. And I'm trying to watch this duel, and then I was like, oh wait, I wish they told us. Just tell us you don't want to win the duel. Just tell us it doesn't matter beforehand. Don't get us all fired up about it. But as far as changing it, I don't know if there's a good solution. Do you see one, Ben?
No, I actually, you know what? It's very rare that someone makes me think of a new perspective I haven't thought about. And, the way you said it about throwing the duel, like most of the time, coaches throwing games is frowned upon. And when you look at it that way, that's kind of an interesting way to view it, because in another sport, if a coach had multiple guys who were capable of competing and chose to not compete them, and their team lost, that's kind of how you would view it. So I actually like that perspective. But yes, I mean, in the reality of until duels matter more, you're going to see this. I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, there's just a general, I don't know, I've been a sports fan basically my entire life. There's just a general agreement before every sporting event I've ever watched is that we both do want to win this thing.
Correct.
When the Orioles are playing the Royals or the Commanders are playing the Cowboys, you just kind of know they're trying to. When UNC basketball is playing, Duke in basketball, they're both trying to win. It's not even a thought. But in wrestling, it actually is a thought. It's like, we don't actually want to win. We don't want to win more than we want to solve for something else. That was the reality of the Cornell Iowa State duel. They did not want to win. They did not want to win, because you don't do that if you want to win.
It's team sport versus individual sport. So,
I know,
which is why,
and that's what. Well, what do we have? I mean, they add up the team scores.
Yeah, in March, and so it's how your individuals perform best that day, not during March, which almost brings me to the point where
Dual national title.
Well, obviously, but that will never happen when we still have the individual and they calculate the team. They're not going to award 2 trophies, which is why I'm almost ready to say I would rather just do a dual team championship and get rid of the individual championship, which is like a terrible take. But I'm pretty much there, because we see the best individuals wrestle at tournaments, and we see the best of the best wrestle at U20s and seniors as well. We get to see those matchups normally. We never hardly ever get to see the top 5, 10 teams duel at full strength. So I'm almost to the point where if it means cutting the individual tournament to get a dual tournament, I'm almost there.
Yeah,
you're banana. That is crazy.
Tell him. Dual national title would be so much fun.
You can
what
set
if
up
there's a dual national championship and Ohio State came out and got 3 pins right away. You'd be like, this is
it would be legendary.
You can set up an individual tournament. A random person can set up
tournament. I'm crying.
A random person can set up an NCAA individual tournament, and all the best teams will still go if it means it doesn't affect them winning an NCAA team title trophy. You can award individual accolades based on, this is like kind of terrible, but like the old like AP bowl system where they just award it at the end to a team, to an individual. This guy went 20-0. He beat the top 5 ranked guys. He's our national champion. But to award a team champion, we have to go dual championship because it's the best for the fans. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm very close to it.
Getting closer.
Yeah, you can't mess with the individual tournament, but listen, if there was a dual national title, I'd be fired up for that. It would be incredible. And that would make, if your example of, can you imagine if in a dual championship a team came out and got 3 pins? That would be insane. We would talk about it forever. We're not going to talk about this in a week.
Yeah.
Just because it just doesn't have that gravity. Someone said JD is on the eggnog. Are they having another?
Not yet.
Are they having another?
It's a little early to be noggin.
It's true.
Dang. But
they had.
JD, what are you gonna do with 125 though?
So here's my thing. At first it was pissing me off because it's hard to rank. It's really not that hard to rank anymore because you can put whatever you want in there and you can make a justification for it and people can't really argue with you. So it's actually kind of almost easy now. You can put them in any order you want.
Number 1, he's undefeated. Let's go.
I honestly asked Kozak, I was like, is Noah certain about to be number 1? Because it seems like he's got a decent case.
Yeah. He is not. I said on Monday, I said he had a loss with me and JD. I was thinking of last year he lost to the Cal Poly kid at the Tiger side. That was not this year. That was last year. He lost like a 3-2.
You know who else you should look? Well, I don't think you can.
He's really only beat Tucker Owens and Jory Volk, but they're all right.
So Dean Peterson is also undefeated, but his only win is of note is Ventresca. He has not really faced the rigor yet
anymore.
And Eddie's out. And Cooper Flynn's. Have we talked about that yet? Did y'all talk about that Monday?
Cooper Flynn, number 1.
Cooper Flynn, number 1. Yeah. No, people are asking. Everyone's asking about 125. Everyone's just talking about this weight class. I've never seen anything that is 50% as crazy as this weight class has been.
Not at all.
And it's going to be like this the entire time. There's not going to be some stabilizing force here. Everyone's going to take losses.
Kozak said he wants random draw for seeding at NCAAs. It basically is random draw.
Yeah.
The seeds don't really matter.
Yeah, it's going to be so easy to take shots at those seeds when they come out because there's literally not going to be.
Hey, there's one that you guys should be sad about that we didn't get to see, and I don't know why. I meant to bring this up, but I was just wrestle statting him, and I saw it. Matt Ramos has 3 losses on the year to Marcus Blaze, which doesn't actually count on his record. Camacho, Caleb Smith, and Nico Provo. Stanford and Purdue, they had a quad duel, and Nico Provo did not wrestle.
He did not.
Interesting.
Hey, can we put some respect on Matt Ramos's name? Half of this show has been about guys sitting. Matt Ramos has made the walk every match this season, including to an exhibition match against Anthony Noto and to a high schooler.
Yes.
So I know he's taking some losses, but respect.
He's making the walk. He is going to be tough to pick against too. If you're given an option, based on everything we've seen this is a guy that's been out there in the streets. He's taken some losses, but he's got some wins in the process. I think he's going to be very, very formidable come March.
Noto's wait. Yeah, Noto's undefeated. Noto's number 1, guys. Noto's undefeated.
Well, he lost at the All-Star.
He lost the All-Star, yeah, shoot.
Which doesn't go on his official record, so by NCAA seeding, he's undefeated, but for
only
rankings
one loss
purposes,
is actually kind of good at this weight class. As I'm looking through the top guys, one loss is pretty ideal.
Yeah. Peterson's weird. Is that really how light Rutgers' schedule has been so far this year, or has he missed some matches?
A lot of the Big Ten schools, Christian, they go light because then the Big Ten second semester. I know it's gonna be really, really.
Not Ohio State. Oh my gosh, Ohio State. They duel Virginia Tech. They go to Vegas and they go to Collegiate Duals, and then they're gonna do their Big. They're.
Wait, who are you talking about?
Sure, Ohio State.
Oh, Ohio State, yes.
They're Virginia Tech, Vegas, and Collegiate Duals.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they had another tough duel
also Pitt.
as well.
They dueled Pitt.
Pitt. They lost to
Pitt. Yeah. Non-conference against Pitt. They're just
January 5th.
That's got to be the
January 5th, they go to Cornell, or Cornell comes to them.
Wow.
Yeah. They've got the toughest schedule in America.
Brett Unger's got a really tough schedule. He's wrestled 11 matches. He does have 2 losses to Provo and Colton Camacho, but per the WrestleStat ranking, there's only 3 guys ranked below 30 that he's wrestled. So he's wrestled Greg D, who's ranked high, even though he's his teammate. Diego Sotelo from Harvard's good. Provo, Kaler, Augustino. He's had a really, really scrappy schedule.
Yes, he has. So looking at Rutgers' schedule, just to follow up, they went to the Black Knight, but I don't think Dean wrestled at that.
I don't think they sent their starters either, if I remember correctly, or not all of them.
Yeah.
Damn, Joy Volk's got 3 losses. I'm in here trying to figure out who's going to go high for you, JD. I can't figure it out.
That's what I'm saying.
It's going to be tough.
This weight has become the easiest weight to rank in America. Because anybody can be anything.
Yes. Seriously.
I'm joking. It's actually still giving me very much a headache because I still try and get it right. Even though there is no right answer.
Definitely not. I mean, it might be, I'd put Noto pretty high. He only has 1 loss to Ramos. That's a solid loss. He's got no official losses. Certain's going to go a lot higher. Peterson's going a lot higher. Brett Unger only has 2 losses and a lot of good wins. You probably slide him up some. I mean, Camacho. How far is Camacho going to go down when you lose 3 times in one day? And one of those losses is not really all that good.
Even the Macron one's not, great. Two of the 3 are pretty rough.
2 of them are not that good. You kind of got to go down to from 1 to 15 or something like that. You kind of got to go far down.
Yeah, he's gonna get hit hard. I think that's what we're going to see with all these losses. You're going to see big swings like that. And I think they're generally appropriate because because to be able to absorb losses is to show that you've demonstrated you've done a lot to keep yourself up there. And no, that's not really true for anyone.
Yeah, because he has 1 really highly ranked win over Matt Ramos.
Yeah,
but that's it. The rest of these dudes aren't very good.
Yeah. You mentioned Jory Volk. I haven't got to talk about the Volk Figueroa takedown.
But I'm noticing Twitter battles over it.
Who did I battle?
Mark Branch was mad at you, which I defended your honor. I really don't like it when coaches go on there and what he said was, I know a referee that agreed with me. It's like, okay, good, you got a referee to agree with you. What's your point here? I don't get it. Obviously, another referee agreed with you because another referee called the takedown. So you got at least 2. Sweet.
Yeah, he's got 2. I mean, I saw it. Everyone was talking about it, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I wondered, hey, if you have a leg not in but across, that's where Figueroa's foot was. Is that a criteria? And so I asked one ref. He's like, absolutely not. I asked another ref. He said, absolutely not. And this clip is going to be utilized for official education, which I didn't say on Twitter because I didn't want to look like I was driving home the point too hard. But yeah, I mean, I don't expect Coach Branch to be thrilled that I'm talking about it. I understand he's taking up for his guy, and I'll also say this. And I'm seeing a trend, and there's an issue with reaction time in that they're sometimes forgetting it exists. And there's a reason that Figueroa was able to easily swim out and get 2 on the reversal, which should have been just the takedown. And there's also
not fully established.
And there was another situation that's identical to, I feel like it's identical, where you're seeing guys get to, if you take a picture of it, maybe it's a takedown. And I don't know that we had that in Volk Figueroa, but there was an example in the Wyoming-Oklahoma State duel between Willischell and Williams, where Williams hits a quick duck and is kind of behind, and Willischell is able to square up and throw a whizzer down and get out of takedown criteria basically immediately. But they gave the 3 to Williams, and they challenged it, and they said takedown. And we're constantly seeing this basically reaction time. If you're in control, then there should be at least a period of 2 seconds you can control the guy. Otherwise, you weren't really in control of anything. And I get that it can get tricky and gray, and it is a nebulous term, reaction time. But there's a reason that Figueroa is able to swim out and get 2. There's a reason Willischell was able to throw the whizzer down and square up so quickly. They weren't in control.
So I don't think I don't think those 2 things are the same. What you just said there, I think Volk was never he never fully covered. He was off here to the side the entirety of the time. Yep. He never actually covered, right? But there are situations like, who does this? Hamidi does this. Barnett does this, where they are very flexible in the hips and the shoulders. So sometimes the guy is fully behind them, and they will still reach back and throw a whizzer in. So if I am fully behind you, and it, obviously, like I said, reaction time. So one reaction time should be quick, like 1 second. You can then reach back and throw a whizzer in. So I don't know that is totally like the same. But for me, the Volk and Figueroa is Volk never established a top position, right? He never got behind him all the way. He was only off to the side with he was locked around his leg, and then I don't recall where he had his hand, but that was, for me, it was like he didn't get behind him. Not a takedown. It was close, very close.
Yeah, I guess I'm not saying they're the same position or the same thing, but I guess my point is I don't think they're requiring the offensive wrestler to really establish control to the degree that they should. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I feel like Williams should be able to put him down or hold that position longer than a period of less than a second. And, if Volk, and the Volk thing's just, maybe it is completely differently. But I do think if you're saying, okay, this was a takedown, then he should be able to hold that position longer than a second. So, I mean, listen, they can take exception to that all they want. I thought it was a more appropriate way to – I saw it and I was like, maybe not, but I don't know. I asked 2 people who are authorities, and they disagreed. And obviously, opinions vary because the takedown was called and then upheld, as was the case in the Williams-Willischell match, because guess what? The refs that are making the call are also reviewing their own calls. So that's helpful. Yeah. And everyone has an opinion on that. Some coaches are like, just get rid of review. Which I'm not there. Much. Well, yeah, they just don't like it. But I think.
What are the actual? Where are we in our quad division? What are the actual stats on that, Christian? Because yes, I do think it's they don't change things that should be changed, and in a few instances it appears to be obvious, and they still don't change it. So I'm not all the way there. It does, in certain circumstances, it does really slow down the pace of the match because sometimes it takes forever to review, and that's super annoying. And so if we're not going to get a useful outcome and it's wasting our time, then let's get rid of it.
I would say I really want it and think it should happen. And I think there are examples where they just review their own call and kind of rubber stamp their previous opinion. But there are examples of reviews where they look at it and they change the call and they get it right. And for that reason, you should have it because it is making matches on the whole more accurately called.
Flo, I don't know if you know the power that we have sometimes, but if we did a quant division review of the amount of calls that were overturned and it was like 4% or 6%, we could say this is preposterous and we could put some heat on it. And then the ref would know, but they would know we're watching you. We're watching you do the review. Do it right. Don't just appel what you did.
Well, but also, some of these bricks are terrible.
Some of the bricks are terrible.
Terrible bricks. I'm like, why did you throw that? Why did? Yeah, there's some bad bricks.
That's not as much in college wrestling because there is like a quantified number. That's what they need to have in freestyle. Like at the U.S. Open, there was somewhere I'm like, I want to go fight the guy in the corner because he's wasting all of our effing time. Like, and they don't think about it. They're like, oh well, I'm just mad. I'm gonna throw this brick. But it's like, well, yeah, but when you multiply that by 100. Now you're wasting everyone's time in this damn building. You're wasting the referee's time. They're frustrated. They don't want to watch your crap. Like, you should only get the whole tournament. You should only get a couple bricks.
Yeah, I do appreciate when you get a YOLO brick and a ref just goes no. We're not.
That's what they should do.
I know.
In some of these situations.
Yeah, there were some bad ones for sure. I never got to talk about senior nationals with you guys.
Sad. We talked about
assuming you guys are pretty high on one Andrew Alira's.
Speaking of Andrew Alira's, his NCAA final last year, that's the reason I'm kind of like, maybe I'd be okay with no review. Remember how long that took?
Well, do you know what happened?
What happened?
There was a literal technical issue. They could not pull the video up. They could not pull the video up. So that was, I would say, that's an exception. Generally, they can look at the video immediately. There was something that happened that made it take that long. Apparently, the review itself did not take long at all, but it was just a matter of getting the file or whatever.
I don't think that's a super exception in how long it took, but it's not an exception in the terms of reviews slowing down matches and sometimes being gamified to get a guy a break or a rest.
Hey, I like Christian. Avery Gaming says he has the answer. It's 9%, and he said FloWrestling needs to hire him because he has all the stats. So Avery Gaming might be our quant division.
I don't know. That's a guy. He always wants to fight JD.
Yes, he does. I'm about to say, if that's our quant division, our quant division is not in good hands.
Tell me you never want to fight him.
I honestly, I'll very candidly say I do not want to fight JD.
Drop a pin, Avery Gaming.
JD,
send location.
JD is young and powerful.
So funny.
Avery just wants $39,000 per year.
That's cheap. Hire this man. Hire him.
That's a very specific salary. He's
I don't want
to push it for 40. 39.
Hire him. He's hired.
All right. You can pay him. Okay.
I was thinking, I have been thinking, Christian, I need to, I remember, I don't know if you remember this, 'cause I don't think I was working with you guys yet at the time, but I got frustrated that there weren't good enough statistics on technical details out, right? And there was a few that were out there, and I'm like, I know they're wrong. Like I just know they're wrong. I watch wrestling. I know they're not right. I can pattern recognition, right? So I built my own protocol for scoring matches, and I scored. I taught my wrestlers how to do it. This is like back when Keegan, a bunch of guys.
You were on Flow, yeah.
Did we talk about it? And
yeah,
I feel like I haven't done that in, I think it's been 5 years. I think it was 19 and 18. I think we need to maybe redo those to make sure that, I bet drags went up, it feels like to me. It would be interesting to see how the scoring dynamics have changed.
Do you mean, when you say drag, do you mean like kind of an arm drag from like neutral, or like arm drag go behind?
Well, kind of a little bit of both, but I would say arm drag from neutral.
Okay.
Something else. And that would be weird because you'd have to score it, right? So if I got arm drag a single, I have to score the arm drag and I have to score the single. Like you have to give credit to both moves in the scenarios. That's why, wrestling can be kind of tricky, right? It's like then I go arm drag the single, and then, then we get in a scramble and I scored on something else. It's like, well, we have to remember what started this. So it is very complex and tricky because wrestling is not always simple, but it feels like I should redo that at some point.
Yeah.
I'll be my own quant division.
Do it. Mm-hmm. No, that was cool when you did that. I can't remember which year, but I'm pretty sure you were on the show.
I want to say I did 18 and 19, and then Adeline Gray whined that no one did it for women, and I'm like, bro, I just did this myself. Like, I just want to do this, so I did it. Like, I literally paid my AWA guys out of my own pocket to go watch matches and score it. And then she's like, we didn't do it for girls. It's like, that's my own money. I paid my guys to do it. So you know what? I did the girls. I did the women's worlds. And it was actually very similar to what the men's scoring was.
I've done it for Final X, but it takes a long time to do. So obviously to like sit down for a full US Open or Worlds, it's just not going to happen.
Dude, I did 170. We did the round of 16, the quarters, the semis, the finals, and I want to say the place matches. I think is what, or maybe the first wrestle back and then the place matches. So it was 17 matches per weight times by 10 weights. So it was 170 matches per time we did the scoring, and I felt like that was a proper evaluation.
Yeah, sounds like the way to do it. I'm no statistician. Oh, what's going on in Facebook? I'm just now pulling it up.
Yeah, I did the US. I did 2 worlds, a US Open, and a women's worlds is what I did.
Thank you for your service.
I'll tell you. Listen. I even have written down whose assignment. So we had on 57 kilograms, Mitchell Messermaker scoring. On 61, Aiden Medora. 65, Keegan O'Toole. Weston Wickman 70, Jack Gano 74. And then we just. Oh no, I had Deal do 97 kg. So someone didn't do 2. Someone in here is slacking. Keegan did 92 kilograms as well. Missy putting these guys to work. You want to know what the number one score? The number one scoring hold was a shot out of 2019. That should be obvious. So which shot was it? We
single
need to
leg.
Scroll down and see that.
I'd say single.
Okay, so single leg scores 200 points. Double leg scores 160 points. High crotch scores 125 points. And then low singles 56. Knee pull, which you may still all consider a single, 59 points. Duck under 12, fireman's 12, ankle pick, which you may also consider a low single or a single, is 32 points.
It would be interesting to see the percentage of finish from attempt on each shot too. That's really a lot of data.
That would be,
because you got to assume double would be much higher because a lot of guys get to a single
per
don't
time
finish,
shot. How many times does it score?
Yes.
And what if you go double to single? You know, you fire a hard double and you end up in really good position on a single.
That's what makes that data hard. Yeah.
That's why it's very, 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 very difficult. Gut wrench scored 256 points. Lace 134 points. 2-on-1 was wimpy. 2-on-1s only scored 16 points in 170 matches. Underhook was 69 points. I bet that number would go up. There's more people using underhooks. Would be my guess.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. I saw we had so much like freestyle content from senior nationals, and someone actually said this to me in person, and I saw a bunch of this in the comments. Like, you shouldn't be able to just get one. It was after the Seth Gross Alec Pantaleo match where Gross is down 6 and he gets on top and he
trapped on gut.
The match in. Yeah, and people are like, you shouldn't be able to. You should get like 2, and then you should have to let them up. But I freaking love it. I think it's an awesome. I think it's an awesome.
I don't know if you remember this, Christian. You might be too young. That was a thing for a while. Do you remember? Yes. You don't remember that? Okay, because I remember this was honestly my prime years, my high school years, my formative years. No one did leg laces because you had to hold them, right, to get another point. So they actually had a hold point where you could go 5 back points and you got 1 extra point, which would then enable you to do another turn. So the trick was to do a gut wrench in which you could hold them on your back. So you got a 2-point turn, a 1-point hold, and then you could do another gut wrench. But you could not do it with the leg lace because it's impossible to hold them on their back for 5 points. So that was why, like, for a while there was like no leg laces because you could get 1 maximum. And so I think one of the exciting things, and I guess you would say maybe from a competitive standpoint, it would be a frustrating thing.
It's no different than a pin.
What's up?
It's no different than a pin. If somebody puts in a
pinning combination, there's a secondary way to finish a match with like a singular hold or technique, which I think is great, right? Because it adds to the is dangerousness a word? It adds to the dangerousness of the situation where if you give up this one thing, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just gives freestyle another knockout, and that's I think it's great. And also, what I don't agree with is that there's just this notion that if you get up in a trap arm or you get in a lace, it is just a death sentence and you are guaranteed to get teched no matter what. Like, there's no defense for these things.
Some of those laces are death sentences. That part I disagree with.
Some are, but how many leg laces do we see that it's only 1 or 2, and then the person kicks out? That's what makes it good. Is it has to be a good gut wrench, or it has to be a good leg lace to be a match finisher.
And
I was sitting Matt's side watching. I think it was a DeSanto match, and I was watching with another coach, high level, and guy gets to a lace, and he's like, match over, and the freaking dude got out of the lace. Like, they're not. You can get out of them. Now, some of them you can't, but that's the competitive aspect of it. Yeah, sometimes his lace offense is better than your defense, but it's not a guarantee.
I mean, when they get it tight, it's almost guaranteed that you're giving up 1, and then you could potentially like spin fast. But I mean, we absolutely at EIWA we practice those type of things because it's like this can be death. This can be death. So we need to have the ability to make the match continue even if we get caught in these techniques. So we definitely practice those things. But yeah, I love them for that. I mean, obviously at certain times, like when your athlete is better, like they've been, say, controlling the match, they got several takedowns to none, and they give up 1 lace and they lose, you're like, damn it. Like, I wish that wasn't the rules, but then on the other side, it's like you are happy because it makes the sport better for sure. More fun.
Yeah. You just have to be so cognizant in parterre defense too. Like, all right, I'm getting taken down. Like, I got to butt back or whatever you got to do to defend the turn. Get your arm out. Anyway, I thought that was I just wanted to mention that because I saw a lot of chatter, and I think it's wrestling season, traditional folk style wrestling season. So that's our audience. And then when you throw in some freestyle, they're like, what is this? It's kind of reintroduce a different aspect of the sport. Okay. JD, where do you want to go next, buddy?
We can talk. There's kind of 2 big news stories that came out yesterday, I think. Nelson Brands saying his appeal got denied. He's donezo, and the Ivy League news.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that there was still more fight to be had with the Iowa gamblers.
Oh, really?
I mean, I thought it was over.
I thought we talked about the appeal previously, but maybe I'm incorrect.
Yeah, it was denied. So Nelson's done for good, and it doesn't sound like he's interested in taking his medical year. So, what'd you say?
I'm sorry. Someone in the YouTube chat said, "Keep your legs straight." Like, remember my story from Vegas about that coach?
Oh no! Who told you that?
Who told you that?
Oh my gosh! Keep your legs straight and leg lace.
Straighten your legs.
That was nice of you.
I want to do that. That might not be a good piece of advice from the corner.
It doesn't work.
You that?
Man, you almost got beat up. That'd have been crazy. Ben Askren gets beat up in Las Vegas.
So funny. He was a little guy. He was going to do no beating.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, that's
breaking away. What do you feel? I feel like this is actually kind of a bad move. I don't know. I guess the viewpoint of which you look at it, the larger you are, the more spots you're going to have, the more you could maybe like have guys peeking and swiping and stealing spots from others. The smaller you are, the less of that there's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, instead of one pretty strong conference, you're going to have 2 weak conferences now. EIWA is going to be, you lose Cornell and Princeton and Columbia and that hurts. And then for Cornell, that's a small conference, and it's not going to be as good either. So I don't think it's as good, and it just further makes conference weekend just about Big Tens and Big 12s and not much else.
Was there a reason given for this?
I think there's an academic alignment that the Ivies are probably looking for, where they don't want, they want everyone to kind of.
We don't want to wrestle those dumb kids.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that was a part of it. The political whatever. I don't know. I don't know why they want to do that, but I don't think it makes sense, but I don't like it. I don't think it's good. I don't know if it helps.
I actually don't think it helps.
I
think it's more harmful.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the Ivies, right? You're thinking from that perspective, Ben? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm just thinking from qualification standpoints. I think the bigger the bracket is, I guess maybe I'm thinking from my own, because obviously total there's only 33 NCAA qualifiers, but I'm thinking, if I can have my guys competing well at the right time of year, we're more likely to steal spots. So the more spots there are, the more likely we are to steal them, right? Or if I had an injury where my guy can't get an auto qualifier spot or something to that effect, then I'm more likely to be able to take one. And the smaller the conference is, the less likely that is the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand it. You wrestled in the Big 12 back in the day when it had it was really small, but it was insanely tough.
Yeah, and then in that era there was a limited amount of spots. I mean, we were at I want to say we were at the cap. Like you couldn't go higher. Like they did it based on the previous 3 or 5 years, but there was a limit on how high you could go, so we couldn't go any higher. So there was guys getting 8, 9, 10 getting left at home because of that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that is notable. That's for next year, right?
Yep.
That's when that kicks in, not 2 years, next year.
Next year.
So that was big. Okay, what else do we want to get? I'm trying to think what else happened that I wanted to talk about.
Nothing else, and then we're kind of going, besides the Mizzou duel, I think we're going into a little bit of a lull here because there's not much until the end of the season, which is nice. We get to enjoy Christmas. You can talk about Dom Bradley winning another U.S. Open title if you want.
So funny. Yeah, no Kerkvliet there, and so Dom won. He beat Lance. It was the funniest part. I mean, I don't know what. There's not much to say about that match. Oh my gosh. Did you watch that, Ben?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So you want to bring it up, but you didn't want to gut it out like I did, because that was
what was I do?
that match.
That was Sunday, so I had I remember I went home. I had 2 privates in a practice I wanted to get to because I had missed some Sundays. I didn't want to neglect my guys. I wanted to be there. Connor already qualified because I knew McFadden was hurt and he wasn't going to wrestle. So I said I'm going to go home.
He actually did wrestle. Did you know that?
Well, I knew he was going to wrestle the one McFadden wrestled. No, Edmund won by injury default.
Well, yeah, that's wrestling. I mean, he went out there. He didn't do the match, but he did not forfeit.
Wait, why did he go? No, the match
he tried.
10 seconds. He tried.
He tried.
Okay.
It was pretty, yeah. But yeah, you abandoned your pupil, and that's interesting.
If you can't beat that guy on crutches, me in the corner ain't gonna help, bro. You just lost to that guy, and he's on crutches. That's what I would have said. He would have been like, I didn't qualify for the Olympic trials. I said, bro, you lost to a dude on crutches. You ain't deserve to qualify for the Olympic trials. Get out of here.
Hey, I do want to talk about this. The high schoolers, man. So I've been thinking about it since senior national, and really it's been something we've been talking about a ton because these high schoolers are continuing they're getting opportunities to compete against these elite guys. You got the college opens where you're seeing, Jax and Marcus Blades and Bo Bassett go and win a lot of matches. And then at every single high schooler that entered that's of note, maybe there were some random ones that I don't even know about that entered, but the big name ones there's no moment where you're like, these guys do not belong here. They are senior level wrestlers. You just have to deal with, they are high level senior level wrestlers. And Aiden Valencia didn't qualify, but he teched Seth Gross, right? Yes. Who made it. Joe Seeley is in all these matches. These guys all placed, right?
Yes.
Cole didn't, but I think he's not a 97 kilogram. At 92,
and he had a very competitive match with Louis Dupre. He lost 4-3 in that first match, and that was a guy who, that's a guy who I think placed 7th or 8th, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So they're all on the level, and the main thing I'm thinking, because you've had these like phenom, the Kerry Colats, and these guys aren't that. These guys aren't phenoms. It's all about the system and the.
When you say phenom, you mean above their peers, or what do you mean by phenom exactly?
I mean that these guys are not so physically and technically exceptional that they're just above every other high schooler and these are guys that can lose high school matches. These are guys that
you guys still
they're not.
Aiden Valencia ranked like 15 or something.
He's out of the rankings because he's not doing high school season. But yeah, he would be ranked. Yeah, he's not a top 10 guy. That's kind of my point. Luke Lillidahl is in, his Ironman semis are in doubt. Kerkvliet was killing every high school. These guys are not removed from their peers. That's what I mean by phenom. These guys are just the system and the coaching and the training is allowing these guys to get so good that now it's the senior level with high school is way more homogenous than we could have ever imagined it being because of the system. It's not about these guys. These guys are special and they are really, really good. But we're going to have more Connor Mirsolas and Luke Lillidahls in a year or in 2 years from now, 3 years, and they're going to qualify for trials. And I think it's just going to accelerate, not wane. I think it's likely too.
I mean, the thing that is unfortunate, I guess, in this circumstance, I would say, Christian, is that there's still a physical component to it, and if you're not physically mature by 17 or 18, you're not going to be able to compete with the senior level guys, even if technically you are exceptional and you are good enough, right? So there's still, I mean, hopefully high school kids don't forget that. Like if your body is not mature by the time you're 17, 18, you can't compete with senior level guys. You're not gonna be able to do it, right? That doesn't mean you can't in a year or two. Like, for example, I really got a lot stronger. And I was younger, right? I graduated high school at 17. So that first year of college, I got way stronger where I could actually compete with guys on that level where previously I would not have been able to do so. So for you high school kids who are technically proficient, it just hasn't happened yet, keep grinding. There will be people who mature more quickly.
Yeah, no, that's true. And that's kind of like, if the things align with the weight classes, like for Luke Lillidahl, 57 is a great weight class for him. And there's not a lot of guys that can make it now as adults.
Yes.
For Connor, 86 he's big and strong for that weight class, and 86 also has a lot of guys that aren't really 86 kilogrammers that are a little small, and they're bumping up because the weight differences are ridiculous from 74 to 86. So the physical element is a good component, or is a notable component. But like, how did Seeley do on the backside? He took 8 points. He beat Wyatt Sheets, and then lost to Berger. So anyway, I did want to mention that these high school kids are great, and I think it's just going to accelerate. Okay, next up, do we want to do where do we want to go now, James?
There wasn't actually that many good questions. I looked through the questions. I was hoping we were going to do a few picks for the Mizzou match. I don't know what weight you guys would like to do.
174 is the best match.
174 is the best match, I believe. Mako versus Edmund Ruth, and it was a competitive match. I think he lost to him, was it 2 years ago, and he lost to him close.
It was like 8-6, 7-5, something like that.
7-5 at Tiger Style in November, and they have not hit since. Since that time, let's see.
Well, Peyton All-American last year, Edmund did not.
Edmund is undefeated on the year. Best win, Danny Wask in sudden victory. He also beat Luca Augustine. So he's doing solid. Mako has the loss to Kemp. And
he's on kind of a fire besides that. He's kind of been like just murdering dudes.
Well, the only guy in the top 30 he's wrestled is Kemp. Everyone else is kind of
well out. Like he should have.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
17-4, tech fault,
Piccolo.
tech fault.
Piccolo's top 30.
Piccolo's good, and he tech fault him easy.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
Yeah.
Piccolo's 8-4. He got majored by Braden. He got pinned by Tyler Brennan, and he got majored by Alex Kramer. So he's a guy that has been blown out by.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. You want to do a pick or not?
If I was doing a line,
I think this would be a pick 'em.
That's just what I was going to say. If I was setting a line, this would be a pick 'em.
I'm not distressed here.
Mako, let's go.
Mako, baby. I'm going Mako.
Now, here's the thing. I could just take Ruth and I could game one on you guys.
Or you could lose one, another one.
And and I can know that Whip Jacoby is somewhere just punching the air that I picked against a Tiger style guy again. Or I could just be smart. Give me Edmund Ruth.
Okay, that's fair.
I'll do it.
Ruth too.
Let's go Skulls versus Mahler. I don't know that they're to put him in. I don't have that inside information, but they might.
I put a question mark in here. I would be surprised if they did. It was more me hoping and putting this out into the ether that I hope they use Braden Skulls against Brock Mahler. They have used Braden in a match or in a duel or two.
Yeah. I would take Brock.
I would take Brock too.
I'll take Skulls because I'm a little biased.
Skulls is good. Gosh. He's tough, but who did he lose to? He dropped one match this year.
Lost somewhere that wasn't great.
Yeah. But I watched him once or twice, and he looked pretty good, I thought. But he did take a weird loss.
Who are you talking about?
Braden Skulls.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Mahler. I was like, he's undefeated, sir.
Dang, what the heck? Braden Skulls why is his wrestle stat not popping up? He had one loss. I want to say it was at the
I got it right here. 4-1.
Iowa kid. Wasn't it a Northern Iowa
Robert
kid?
Weston. Robert Weston.
Yeah, RJ. It was a Northern Iowa kid. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He got pinned.
Oof.
Pinfalled.
Yeah, I think it was some kind of crazy.
You forgot. You can't get pinned.
Yeah. He's 6-1 besides that. Yeah. Pretty tough kid.
Okie doke. All right, let me look more at this document. Okie doke.
You want to go a few minutes early? I could be on time.
One question. One question before we go.
I might be late, but I could be on time today if we got nothing else to talk about.
One question before we go. Would Yonger be Gable's toughest college opponent due to his neutral game?
I would say, him or Kirk. I want to say Kerkvliet.
Yeah. I think it's still Kirk.
I think Kerkvliet is the best guy equipped to beat Gable. If there's a name to say. Now I don't.
Well, you gotta say someone has the best chance. Even if no one can beat him, someone still has the best chance.
Technically.
Yes.
So I would say, well, it's like, one of us three has the best chance to beat Gable also, but it's like, is it worth talking about?
I wonder who it is.
I don't know. We'll just have to leave that, we'll leave that part unknown. But I would say Greg, because he's really big in addition to he moves really well. He can attack legs. I feel like, not that Gable is just this giant brute. But he's big. He'd be a lot bigger than Yonger, and probably just as fast. So I still think Kerkvliet is the best matchup for. I mean, listen, he nearly lost to Pitzer. That was really, really close. He had a hard time taking down Lucas Steveson, who I think we all feel would lose decisively to Gable, Dan. So I think it's still Greg, but I don't think it's, all that competitive.
Yes.
How do we feel about a Younger-Greg match?
I don't know. I think it's probably 3 takedowns to none kind of match. No. 2 or 3 to none.
Remember last year we said we were going to see Gable back, and he told his Minnesota team he was coming back, but he's not back yet. So what's going on here? Is he actually coming back?
Oh, I thought I saw someone tweet that he's 100% back.
That's what I
read that. Yeah, I know that. Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah, because I don't think he's gonna be back. I think those plans have changed now. Whenever they said, "Hey, he's coming back," maybe they thought he was, and I think it was felt in the Minnesota room that he was. But with one thing for certain, he's not there until he's there, and nothing's sure until it's happening with him.
Sparks.
No, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying with Gable, it's.
Yeah, I got you.
You need to see it happen, right? And I think the current plan is no Gable.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. It's like, as much as he's like one of my favorite wrestlers to watch ever, but I kind of want to see how heavyweight unfolds without him. I think that's it's kind of exciting. It's like, man, Gable to me is the greatest heavyweight I've ever watched do it. Ever. So it's I know what's going to happen.
We want to see him versus, who am I talking about now?
I don't know. Who are you swatting at? Oh, Zare.
The Iranian guy.
Zare.
Zare, yes, him.
Yeah.
That's who we want to see.
That's who we want to see. Yeah. That's who I want to see, Great American Hero. I want to see Greg. I want to see Yonger. Mix it up.
Yes.
That'll be fun. Yeah, Joseph Floyd, the Young Bucks class garnered so much attention, but so far Jesse's the only one who can realistically compete for a title. Drew, what would it take career-wise for Buzakis and Feldman to meet expectations? Team title or personal accolades? A couple of A placements being up. If they bring home a team title, that washes away everything.
They're gonna have to get way better to bring home a team.
They have to get way better, way better to do that.
Score points at the end of the season to bring home a team title. I mean, my God. And this is where I said it's crazy. It makes my brain hurt, Christian, that there's high school guys who are competing so well with senior level athletes. We just talked about that. And then Feldman, who was kind of like that kind of guy.
Yes.
Buzakis a little bit was too. I mean, he was really physically mature, but now they're struggling to compete at even an All-American level, just to be fair, right? They're struggling to compete at that level when the high school guys are doing that well.
Yeah, the timelines are always weird. I think Buzakis, there were coming out, I think there were questions. You raised them. You raised them on the show throughout when he was in high school. But
Feldman, I did not raise him.
None of us did. I did not at any point think this guy's going to be anything other than an All-American contender right away. All-American contender right away. And I thought Nick Feldman is going to win a national title before. Now, I'm not ruling anything out. And to rule anything out this year in wrestling, I think would be foolish. But right now, he doesn't look like someone you would pick to place. And right now, I don't know if he's going to win a national title. But here's what I'll say. Look at heavyweight. Look at heavyweight. And look who's going to be gone. For me, Feldman, I'm not ruling him out being a high AA one day or even a national champion. This weight class is going to look really good.
I disagree significantly because when he's getting beat by Treffin or he's getting killed by Gahaldi, like he's going to have to be above that level. Like these high school kids who maybe are not as good as him yet, like they're gonna get better, right? There's a certain level of proficiency that you have to compete at, and yes, well, some of the better guys graduate, of course. But he's not even beating that next tier, right? He lost to Gahaldi bad. He's lost to Treffin. He's gonna have to be significantly better than he is to if you want to say maybe low AA and sneak in there. Okay, fair. But to be a high AA, he's gonna have to raise his level significantly. It's possible.
What I would say, or what I'm kind of just thinking, it's like, all right, last year, he would have really benefited from a red shirt. And he didn't get to a red shirt season where you go to a bunch of opens and get to feel a bunch and wrestle a lot. Like he didn't get that. He was injured immediately, had to have surgery, off the mat for months and months and months. So I think that's a caveat that has to be mentioned with Feldman. And I'm not selling all my stock there. I think you should hold.
Well, it's low,
and
you should probably buy it.
You should probably buy. I honestly think that would be wise. I think he's going to get better. I think his makeup, his mindset, his pedigree is really strong. I think he's going to get better. So I'm not hitting the panic button. For this year, I think anything you get at NCAAs, you should be excited about. But I still feel down the line, he's got some areas where he is special, and I think eventually he's going to clean up the mat. I think he's going to get better. Is he ever going to be automatic from bottom? I don't know, because he's small, and if it's already a liability, it's not like Kyle Snyder. Kyle just was automatic underneath, 97, heavy, just he's getting away. Doesn't matter how small he is. And comparing Kyle to really anyone is probably dumb, but I'm just using it as a point that this guy could always get away. So that was just part of him. And Feldman, it's probably always going to be difficult, against some of the better guys, but I think he's going to improve, and I'm not selling all my Nick Feldman stock. Okay. Well, let's go. We can get out of here. James, what's the vibes in the office? It's got to be like
there's nobody in here.
Nobody.
I fled the scene. My brother got married yesterday. It was lovely. Oh gosh.
Don't ever forget.
Why don't you spread some Christmas cheer for once, Ben, instead of negativity?
Okay, I will. Should I send this? I'll send my trophy. I'll sign it, and I'll send it to you guys so you guys can put it in the studio. Because That's my Christmas gift to you.
You know what? When we get the new studio, not the little closet that JD and I
want
sit
an all
in.
American board up on the wall. You know, you put the board, and we needed to list the winners year by year. So it's probably
year by year. Really. Yeah. No, we should. Honestly, we should have something like that in the new studio when we get it. And it's going to be sweet. You guys are going to be like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Episode 1000 coming down the pipe. Pretty
1000. It's going to be February 15th. We said, should we do it Valentine's Day? We said, no, that's for love. February 15th, episode 1000. Ben's going to be in studio. We're going to have a new studio. We better. Because we sure are planning a show around having this new awesome studio.
Listen, at $9.99, if we don't have the new studio, we're just canceling all.
We're canceling.
Cancel the show.
I'm on board with this. Let's hold the studio makers' feet to the fire. But no, they've begun working on it, and I'm told January we're going to be in there, so that's going to be awesome. Ben is just unplugging. He's just done.
What are we doing next week?
What an open mat. See ya.
All right, later, dude.
Hey, Thursday show.
In. Oh, wait.
The 28th is our next show.
No, we're doing it Christmas. Right now, we're going to do it at 7 a.m. on Christmas Day. Just to make my children wait to open presents. Just kidding. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We hope you have a very Merry Christmas. There's still a little bit of wrestling. There's going to be a ton of wrestling content. You already know this. Coming out, FloWrestling. Check our YouTube, Instagram, FloWrestling.org. We got it all. JD, thank you so much. Happy holiday to the new Raider family.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.